The rivalry between St. Louis and Pittsburgh is built on aspirations rather than animosity. There's no bad blood between these two teams, just good baseball. This is a rivalry built on respect. Last year, St. Louis and Pittsburgh were two of the best in baseball, thanks to their pitching. This year, it's been all about offense. St. Louis has the sluggers, big swings, big results. Pittsburgh has the patience, quality at-bats, and strong fundamentals. Round one went to the Pirates. Round two coming up next, only on Fox Sports Midwest.
This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball, and from downtown St. Louis in Busch Stadium, game number one, a weekend series inside the Central Division. The Pittsburgh Pirates and the St. Louis Cardinals. Kia in the driver's seat, a former MVP, the center fielder of the Pirates, Andrew McCutchen. He's been held in check by the St. Louis Cardinals in his career. And welcome to Cardinals baseball. Jim Hayes is here. That's Tim McCarver. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Great pitching matchup here tonight. Carlos Martinez getting the call for St. Louis. And on the other side, Tim, it's Francisco Liriano. Win right, he's very, very tough.
Well, a guy who throws fewer strikes than any other pitcher in baseball. Now think about that. So the problem for the Cardinals is make sure that the pitches are up in the strike zone, and Liriano throws very few. But for a guy, a starting pitcher who throws fewer strikes than anybody, I don't think, in my experience, through 6, 7 starts, that a guy like that has done that.
Nope.
And gotten away with it and been successful.
We'll see if that carries over to tonight. Francisco Liriano and Carlos Martinez. It's our Budweiser What's on Tap. The lefty for the Pirates and the hard-throwing righty of St. Louis. Good matchup this weekend. The Cards, the Pirates. It's next on Fox Sports Midwest. The Pirates, as we take a look at the Kubota Power Stats, the longest home runs ever hit at Busch Stadium 3. The longest ever, Matt Holliday, back in 2012, 469 feet. Yesterday, the fourth longest we've seen, and it came off the bat of Brandon Moss in his first at bat. 462 feet off the Mercy sign in deep right field. The longest ever hit from that side of the plate here at Busch Stadium 3. Moss is in the lineup. So is Carpenter and Holliday. It's the Cards. It's the Pirates. Game 1 comes your way next. Chevrolet. Visit your local Mid-America Chevy dealer for great prices on the all-new 2016 Malibu. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. A warm evening here in downtown St. Louis. We're at Busch Stadium. The Gateway City playing host to 3 games against the Pirates. Jim Hayes, Tim McCarver, Dan McLaughlin with you. 76 degrees. Our game time temperature and a beautiful night for baseball.
Almost a San Diego evening.
Does feel that way.
Yeah.
John Jaso will lead it off, followed by Andrew McCutchen in the Pirates lineup. Then Gregory Polanco. Starling Marte off to a good start. He'll bat cleanup. Francisco Cervelli. Jung Ho Gung making his season debut after the horrific knee injury a year ago. Josh Harrison batting .320. Then Jordy Mercer. And the pitcher batting ninth, Francisco Liriano.
Certain things that you take for granted, and one is that Carlos Martinez, one of the best pitchers in the National League thus far this season, in 5 starts, had a little hiccup last Sunday against Washington, lost his first game. But that's why we didn't mean to overlook him as far as the pitching matchup in our opening, but because of the way Liriano gets guys out on pitches out of the strike zone, it's the antithesis of what people preach pitchers to do.
There's an 0-1 pitch outside to Jaso. He was picked up from Tampa Bay. As Jaso, the rare combination of being a first baseman and a leadoff man. Don't see that very often. There's strike 2. Lefties have been a little bit better against Carlos Martinez this year, but right-handers hitting just 136. And for Clint Hurdle, there are 3 lefties in this lineup if you include Francisco Liriano. make the case, Tim, this has been the Cardinals' best pitcher, Carlos Martinez.
He's been their ace through April.
Look at Clint Hurdle. He's done a very nice job in turning things around for Pittsburgh, and there's a strikeout to start the night.
Carlos Martinez, always interesting, pacing off his landing spot. And that is about it. So he has a general idea. Obviously, you're not going to peek down at it while you're in your motion. I don't know that I've seen him do that every start. He'll do it about every third start or so.
One thing that he has done this year, a couple of things really. He has sacrificed velocity for more location and movement.
Absolutely, yes.
And you'll also notice he doesn't fall off to the first base side nearly as much as he used to.
Yeah, that finish right there, that's the appropriate finish for Carlos Martinez, even though he's behind Andrew McCutchen.
McCutchen off to a slow start, hitting .229. Do not put much stock into that. He got off to a slow start last year and then was an MVP candidate. Ground ball that's hit to short. Aledmys Diaz, 2 away. Meet the Cardinals defensively tonight. They have 25 errors in 29 games. A little bit disturbing with Holiday, Grichuk, and Piscotty in the outfield. Majority of those errors have been on the infield. Carpenter, Diaz, Jerko, and Moss, and Molina is behind the plate.
Yeah, we've talked about it many times that the disturbing errors for Mike Matheny's club in the middle infield, because those are the double play balls that might have been muffed.
Leads to extra outs.
Yep.
More pressure on the pitcher.
More than any other errors, it seems, generally speaking.
Strike to Gregory Polanco. Good numbers against Martinez. 8 for 13. A pair of doubles and 4 walks. Take a look at the Hyundai pitch arsenal. We mentioned it. The fastball velocity is down, but in his back pocket, he's got 98, 99. He'll go to that throughout the game when he wants to. But it's a fastball, curve, and changeup. And the 0-2. He went, and a strikeout of Polanco. 2 in the inning for Carlos Martinez. Redbirds coming up in the home half of the first. The 2013 season, these two teams have split their 60 matchups 30-30. Two of the best teams in the Central last couple of seasons. Matt Carpenter leads it off, followed by Stephen Piscotty, and then Matt Holliday. Brandon Moss, the long home run in yesterday's game. Yadier Molina, Randall Grichuk, Jed Jerko, Aledmys Diaz, and the pitcher batting ninth, Carlos Martinez.
Danny, the coincidence of numbers Liriano 2-1. By far his best game was the game against the Cardinals when the Pirates swept the Cardinals, and the Cardinals striking out 37 times in that 3-game series. But this guy is just remarkable in that he gets you out with balls out of the strike zone more than any other pitcher in the National League, and that's what the Cardinals have to fight tonight. He'll tease you with throwing a strike down the middle occasionally to get ahead, and then he goes to work.
And it's that slider that really defines him.
Slider and sinker, but primarily, particularly the left-handers, the slider.
So if you're John Mabry, what's the mindset of your team? Having seen all the video, you faced him a bunch. What do you do, especially early in counts against him?
It's tough, but if I were either a left-hander or a right-hander, I'd take a strike. Make him throw strike one, particularly first time through the order.
The 2-1 pitch. Now 2-2. It was a dominating opening series by Liriano and the Pirates. As Tim mentioned, 37 strikeouts in that series by the Cardinals hitters. There's the slider pulled foul. That was most by a Pittsburgh team in a 3-game series since 1913.
Goodness. It's a long time.
Then the Cardinals went to Atlanta and they got on track, and a lot of teams will do that this year against the Braves. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Carpenter. Pirates come in. They are 15-13, and the Cardinals are 15-14 after winning 3 of 4 over the Phillies. The Pirates had an off day yesterday after they were swept at home by the Chicago Cubs. 3-2 pitch and a base hit into right field. Good at bat by Carpenter.
Real good at bat. Took up the 2 strikes. Got a 3-2 pitch. Got the fastball down the middle. First hit of the game.
So we recap that opening series. Really a nightmare for the Cardinals as they started the year. 37 strikeouts. The starters did not perform well. ERA was near 7. The bullpen ERA was over 2, which that's a bit of a surprise as well. The bullpen has been a strength of the Cardinals early on. Here's Stephen Piscotty, 7 for his last 18 with 5 driven in. Whether you like analytics or not, Clint Hurdle was telling us last year that he went all in. He and his general manager, he felt, were about to be fired if they did not have a good year. They said, what we've been doing.
That's the time to go all in.
That's what he said. He said, I didn't like it. I didn't believe in it. But we needed to try something different. And so what you'll see in this series this weekend, the defense of the Pirates will shift constantly from pitch to pitch. And he said, now I'm in 100%. They actually travel a guy to explain to the players why they're doing what they do with the analytics. The 1-1. So he said, I'm about to be fired, or I buy in.
Yeah, perhaps Clint is giving a little bit too much credit to the metric system, I think, because you know, a lot of it was to the efficiency of his ball club too, and they blend hand in glove perhaps with metrics. I mean, you can make that sign, but these guys, numbers don't have hearts.
No. Or how they feel that day.
That's right. And this team, along with the Cardinals, of course, being in the postseason 4 times, 12 of the last 16 years, they didn't do it all with numbers. They did it with big, big hearts. And David Freese, a guy who can vouch for that.
And then some. The 2-2. Pulled foul. It's Piscotty's double late that gave the Cardinals a cushion in yesterday's game. And there's the hometown kid, David Freese, who is not in the starting lineup tonight. I'm disappointed that he's not in that lineup. I was ready to hear the ovation of this crowd.
Yeah, I was too, and you'll hear it sometime over the weekend. But Lafayette High School once again featured. Ryan Howard leaves yesterday. Pardon me, and 2 Lafayette High School grads.
2-2 on the inside corner and a strikeout. Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, very athletic and fast outfield. Marte, McCutchen, Polanco. Then Gung is at third, Mercer at short, Harrison at second, John Jaso at first, and Francisco Cervelli is behind the plate. Around the horn presented by Dobbs.
Most people who follow the game will say that the Pittsburgh Pirates have the most athletic outfield in the major leagues. I agree with that.
I do too. One thing I've noticed though is that McCutchen, with his great speed, and he was a track star, Fort Meade High School in Florida. He plays about as deep as you'll see any center fielder play with that speed.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I'm for a guy who plays about 5 steps in to where McCutchen is right now. A guy who can go back on the ball and has no fear of going back on the ball.
You could make a case, as crazy as it sounds, and he's won a Gold Glove, but he might be your 3rd best center fielder. Marte is a terrific center fielder. Polanco, natural center fielder.
Yeah.
But McCutchen is the mainstay out there. Here's a 1-1. And to follow up on your point, and talking about how Clint Hurdle went all in with analytics, it also coincided with the fact that McCutchen was moving into the prime of his career. Marte arrived on the scene. Polanco was coming. They went and got Jung Ho Gung, who became a very good player a year ago. So they went out. Yeah, analytics is part of it, but guys perform.
He had some cards to play.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Interesting, all 3 Cardinal hitters have taken the first pitch, even the first strike in every at bat tonight. So the Cardinals employing that philosophy of taking a strike against Liriano.
Late call. Holiday didn't like it. Evens it up at 2-2.
I'm not sure Matt would have complained on that if it were called immediately, but the fact that there was a delay by home plate umpire Mike Estabrook.
Part of the job of an umpire is to sell it too.
That's true.
The 2-2. And a call, 3rd strike. Let's turn to Tim's Toyota key to the game.
Well, the key to the game for the Cardinals is swing and strikes from Liriano. Again, 58% of his pitches are strikes. That means 42% are out of the strike zone. That's the most in baseball. So normally, because pitching is so important, people will say you got to stay ahead of the hitters. Not from Liriano's standpoint. He didn't care about any of that stuff.
What we have seen with Brandon Moss is that if he gets a fastball in the strike zone, puts a good swing on it, ball jumps off his bat. It's been the breaking stuff that he has struggled with, and now with strike 1, you wonder if he would even see a fastball in this at bat.
He'll strike out occasionally, but boy, when he connects.
How about boom, yesterday? Huh?
Boom, boom. Oh my gosh. 462 feet for the first run in the game against the Phillies. Game won by the Cardinals.
The sign wasn't there. If we're, let's say, in a minor league ballpark, it'd still be going. I mean, that thing was still on the rise a little bit. He hit it a ton.
Only 1 hit, but it should count for more.
Man. The 1-1. Part of the analytics will also tell you about one of your favorite things to talk about, pitch counts. And so when you take that strike 1 or you go deeper into a count, get Liriano's pitch count up and maybe get into the Pirates bullpen.
Pirates got a good bullpen. So what difference does it make? Take the lead and get him out. Get him out of the game by scoring runs. Don't get him out of the game by pitch count.
You know what I wish we had? A microphone on Ray Searage so that we could get a stoppage in play. Then we could have a meeting on the mound, and then we could pick up Ray talking about a pitch count. And at that point, you would jump out of this booth and run onto the field and tackle somebody.
I might. Well, I might walk onto the field and tackle somebody.
He strikes out the side after the base hit by Matt Carpenter. Coming up, Marte, Cervelli, and Gung. No score after one. Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you have come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. An 11-pitch first inning for Carlos Martinez with 7 strikes. Coming off a start, Tim, in which he was electric early on against the Nationals. It was Sunday, and he was battling the flu, which has been going around the team, and it seemed to catch up with him late in that start. Gave up a couple of home runs. Cardinals could not come back. But right now, he has been the best for the Cardinals in their rotation. That pitch taken low and outside by Starling Marte. This is career start number 6 for Martinez against the Pirates. That's chopped foul. He's 2-2 with an ERA over 5.
Talked about the athletic outfield of the Pirates, including Starling Marte. Carlos Martinez, probably the most athletic pitcher in baseball.
And there's a base hit into right field. Greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Some of the news and notes around the game today. Max Scherzer, St. Louis native, at Wrigley Field, takes a loss. 8-6 the final. The Cubs keep on winning. Vince Velasquez, Cardinals missed him. He's pitching tonight against the Marlins. Yelich with a home run. And happy birthday to the Say Hey kid, Willie Mays, 85 years young.
Who came up on this day in 1951 with the Giants, went 0 for 23. And Leo DeRocher, his manager, always took credit for keeping Willie in the game. Yeah, right, Leo. Like this guy was going to go 0 for 80. And he turned out to be the best player I ever saw.
You used to say to me about Willie Mays, his manicured,
unbelievable
fingers.
I've never seen anybody like it before or since. he had manicured, buffed nails for every at bat. And I've asked him about him. I said, that intentionally it had to be, huh? He said, yeah, it was intentional.
Runner goes. Got to throw back to first as he stopped.
One of the great stories told by the great Bob Gibson was he was invited to Willie Mays' house with Bill White, former teammate of Willie's, and Willie answered the door. He said, "Who is that?" And Bill White said, "That's Bob Gibson. I told you I was bringing Gibson with him." And Willie said, "You throw that hard and you wear glasses? What are you going to kill somebody?" Oh, what a funny man.
You know, we see now players talk all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But not then.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I was going to ask you.
Then.
Did you ever talk to Willie when you guys were playing against each other?
I talked to him when he came to the plate, but I tried to be very respectful of all hitters. I didn't like anybody talking to me, and I didn't like talking to them. But prior to the game, you had to be very, very aware of it because you'd get fined $50 or $100 for fraternizing in those days. Not so anymore.
There's a 1-2, fouled back. See Molina take a long look down at Marte, who twice in this at bat started to go to second base. You just wonder if he didn't get the right jump or was just trying to show something.
Martinez is quick to home, and as everybody in baseball knows, Molina quick to second base.
Marte with 7 steals this year. Maybe Tommy will keep this shot right here. Is there a way, let's go back to Marte, to take a proper lead, to not get your legs crossed up?
It depends on whether it's a one-way lead or not. If you're thinking going back to first base, that's one way to take a lead. It's called a one-way lead. But if you're thinking of going to second, then you got to take a chance. A lot of times, the longer the lead, the more inclined the runner is to go back to first base because they try to bait a throw to first base. Sometimes the shorter lead means he's running. All a pitcher can really do is make him stop. Stop the runner at first, make him regenerate to get going.
The 2-2 pitch. He is running this time. Pitch is high, throw to second, safe. Marte went sliding past the bag. The throw was up the line just a bit.
Jerko wants a review, perhaps. You know, it's going to be interesting to see if the tag was slapped on the rear end of Marte when his hands were by the bag. Not conclusive enough.
Tag may have gotten his leg, but I think at that time,
yeah, agree,
the hand was in. Cardinals, though, are taking a look at it, and why not with replay? David Bell puts the thumbs down, so it's a stolen base, number 8 for Marte.
See, the hands were in. Now the tag is made on the leg, but were his hands off the bag? I don't think so.
Cervelli is hitting .307 this year. Man in scoring position for the Pirates. The 3-2 pitch went with the changeup, and the first walk issued by Carlos Martinez.
Martinez does not usually feature that pitch against right-handed batters, and I found that surprising. On a 3-2 count, he'd throw the change to Cervelli.
So here is Gung, who spent 7.5 months recovering from a traumatic left knee injury. It was so bad, surgeon that performed the recovery and the surgery said it was like he was in a horrific car accident. He said that's how bad the leg was. And here he is making his season debut. Hit .327 against the Cardinals a year ago. And bounces into a double play. Out at second, the turn by Jed Jerko.
Gung, you can see that he is really hurting on that leg. The leg, by the way, is in a vice. He was taken out of a double play while playing second base by Chris Coughlin of the then Cubs. Chris is with the A's, I believe, now. But as Dan said, a horrific injury.
Here's Josh Harrison swinging a hot bat. 364 in his last 12. I think most around baseball look at the Utley slide on Ruben Tejada now with the Cardinals and say that's why the rule changed. But it really started with Coughlin on Gung.
You could call it equally the Gung rule.
Yep.
Gung / Utley.
And it was nasty. It was a day game in Pittsburgh at the end of the season, and it carried over to their recent series with the Cubs. A lot of bad blood between those two teams.
A lot of knockdown pitches from both teams.
That's pulled foul, 1-2. Well, Josh Harrison has turned out to be a very good player for the Pittsburgh Pirates. At one point he was property of the Cubs, was lost in their system, came over to Pittsburgh, got a chance to play, parlayed that into a long-term deal, and now an everyday player. 1-2 pitch, hit out of play.
I love to see Martinez working right-handed hitters more inside. Pound them inside, because the pitch on which you get them out may be as a result of what you've done earlier in the count. You go inside, 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 then you throw the breaking ball away. He's not quite as energetic going after it like that.
Breaks his bat, hit up the middle, stopped by Jerko, but a base hit. 1-0 Pirates.
And what are you going to do? I mean, there's some times where you tip your cap to the hitter. I mean, you pound him in twice, then you go away off the plate with the slider, and the guy breaks his bat and goes up the middle. It's nowhere near the strike zone. So the technique was right by Martinez, but the hitting was better by Harrison. The old expression in baseball, the other guy makes a living too.
Yep. Came in hitting close to 400 with men in scoring position and 2 outs.
Had his best April ever with 15 RBIs.
So the 8th place hitter is Jordy Mercer. 1-0 Pirates here in the top of the second. Mercer is hitting .313 and looks at a slider for a strike. So the stolen base looms large in this game as they got Marte at second base, was able to advance on the double play, and with 2 strikes Harrison singles. Now 0-2.
Mercer likes to hit the ball to right field with 2 strikes on him. Did that several times in that series in Pittsburgh.
A fastball at 96 taken high. Fits in nicely with this club. I mean, he's a solid defender, not great. Can hit a few home runs.
Good player.
Steady.
Good player. I mean, Pittsburgh comes into this game with 5 300 hitters out of their 8 starters. 5.
Yep. And the 1-2 pitch by Carlos Martinez. Harrison is running and it's driven out to right field, but Piscotty battling the lights and makes the catch. Stolen base by Starling Marte. his 8th of the year. And eventually he came around to score. 1-0 midway through 2. Bottom of the second rolls in. Jam-packed Busch Stadium. Where do we find Jim Hayes?
Downstairs, Dan, and David Freese earlier today pretty candid when talking to the media, saying yes, he has thought about returning to St. Louis as a visiting player quite a bit. He says it dates all the way back to his days in Anaheim. He said he loved every second of playing in St. Louis, adding the fans, quote, are a big part of what goes on here, and it's a huge reason why it's arguably the best place to play. When asked about what was his most proud moment from his time in St. Louis, his answer had nothing to do with the 2011 World Series or his postseason exploits. He said, quote, I'm proud of just getting through some personal obstacles. And he said he's grateful to the DeWitts and the entire Cardinal organization for helping him and treating him like a person. And Dan, he did get a reality check when the Pirates first got to town. He said he ordered emos and they made him pay.
Really?
That's
the
true.
Spokesperson for emos for a couple of years, he had to pay? That's not supposed to happen. Gunn can't get it out of the glove. Finally does, but too late. Infield hit, the second of the year for Yadier Molina. Cardinals had a situation when David Freese was a member of the Cardinals, and there was mechanical issues on the plane. So all the players said, hey, Freezer, order some pizzas. And sure enough, Emo showed up with all the pizzas as they waited on the plane for about 6 or 7 hours.
And now he's got to pay. Now he's got to whip out, right? On that play by Gung, it was interesting that Liriano had to duck on the mound. He was down on all fours, getting as low as he could. But the throw is still late by Gung.
And now here is Randal Grichuk. Really struggling right now. Grichuk is hitting 182, 4 home runs, and he's driven in 13. Tim, what about the difference of being a player that is scrapping to stay in the major leagues or make an impression like Grichuk was the last couple of years, as opposed to saying, okay, this year you're the guy, you're the center fielder, and all of a sudden trying to handle those expectations?
Well, it's obviously showing up through the first month of the season. You know, it's how you handle major league pressure. And right now, Randal Grichuk is not handling major league pressure. It's handling him.
The 0-2 pitch.
most of this game. Once your ability is established, it's a checkup from the neck up. And it's not what goes on from the shoulders down. It's what goes on and people can't see it. But the way they're thinking shows up in body movement, language of the body. And right now his body movement is not good.
The 0-2. Grichuk back to Liriano. Out there, double play. 1 for 3 on the double play. Well, back in 2011, he was the MVP of the World Series and the NLCS against Milwaukee that season. The World Series MVPs: David Eckstein in 06, Darrell Porter 1982, and your good friend Bob Gibson in 64 and 67. You had a front row seat for that. Gibson in 64 was 2-1, and in 1967 he was 3-0 with a 1 ERA, 3 complete games. Two outs, and here is Jed Jerko. The shift put on for the Cardinals second baseman. And David Freese in that postseason and the World Series in particular, 5 extra base hits, 7 RBIs, and the historic game number 6.
One of the greatest World Series games ever played.
First 5 innings, you'd say one of the worst games you'd seen.
Terrible defensive team.
Awful. The 2-1. And now their teammates, David Freese and Neftali Feliz. And Feliz was in the 9th inning when Freese got the triple that tied the game up. And coming into that appearance, he had a .87 ERA in 10 playoff appearances.
And the reason that Freese got the triple is Cruz allowed a ball to bounce between him and the fence. And how many times have you heard announcers say the outfield's in a no double defense? That means no doubles. Well, he didn't get a double, he got a triple. Maybe the biggest triple in Cardinal history. Maybe.
The count was 1-2. Feliz in that inning had retired Ryan Theriot. Then Pujols doubled. Lance Berkman walked. And Freese and the Cardinals down to their final strike for the first of a couple of times in that game. Incredible.
Down to their last strike the next inning.
Lance Berkman.
Yeah, right. Oh, man.
Here's Aledmys Diaz. Diaz goes the other way. That's a base hit. Jerko stops at second. And at least the Cardinals will get Carlos Martinez through the lineup.
One of the most difficult pitches to hit. Watch where this pitch is. Down and away, sinking away. The second baseman, Josh Harrison, playing Diaz near second base. And one of the times the shift backfired on the Pirates.
So runners at first and second. Here's Carlos Martinez, who is 3 for 13 this year with 3 RBIs.
See the right fielder, Gregory Polanco, too shallow. I say too shallow. He's probably at proper depth, really, with Martinez up there. But Carlos can drive the ball the other way. Something to keep in mind.
It's about as shallow, though, you're going to see a right fielder play. He's got a very good arm. If he would single into right, it might be tough for Jerko to score. Liriano only gave up 3 hits in 6 innings on opening day in Pittsburgh. And 3 hits already for the Cardinals tonight. Carpenter, Molina, and moments ago Diaz.
And a swing and a miss. Martinez strikes out. And Cervelli tags him out. Strikeout number 4. David Freese never one to shy away from the pictures or the autographs, and doing that before our first pitch here tonight. The hometown hero is back. 1-0 Pittsburgh as we head to the third. Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. And by Steel Outdoor Power Equipment. Quality, reliability, and value. Find a servicing Steel dealer at steeldealers.com or search STIHL. Along with Jim Hayes and Tim McCarver, I'm Dan McLaughlin. 1-0 Pirates. It'll be Liriano, Jaso, and McCutchen for the Pirates here in the top of inning number 3. Carlos Martinez told me the other day one of the things that he really wants to do is to give back to those here in St. Louis, as Liriano sends a fly ball into right center. And yesterday he was at St. Cecilia School and Academy in South St. Louis after the ball game. School that serves low-income families. Roughly 75% of the families are Hispanic immigrants. And I said, why do you want to give back so much? And he said, because I had nothing. I was dirt poor. I used to shine shoes to try to make a few cents. The streets of the Dominican. He was 8 months old when his mother died. He never met his dad, and he was raised by his uncle. So he said, by going to St. Cecilia, seeing some of those kids from the Dominican, he said it is very, very important to him, as Jaso puts it out of play. He has a foundation and a bowling event with his teammates coming up, which will benefit many of those kids and also help feed many families here in St. Louis. And you can find out more at TsunamiWavesFoundation.com.
I would imagine Carlos Martinez would be an elegant bowler. I'm serious about that, because of his athletic ability. I can see him now delivering a ball down the lanes.
I just like to hear the stories about players that have that kind of background
and appreciate it
and
so
appreciate
much,
what's happening here.
Yeah. I mean, kids who don't have gloves, far from it. They have milk cartons they make into gloves. And if you've ever seen it, it takes about a minute and a half to make a half-gallon of milk carton look like a glove, and they can put loops in it to fit your fingers. They can cover it brown, paint it brown to make it look as much like a glove as possible, and they can do marvelous things in catching balls in that milk carton. It's remarkable.
They use apples and oranges and lemons as balls.
Sure.
That's another facet of what he's trying to do too, asking for donations of old gloves and whatnot so the kids can play baseball. And he always remembers his former teammate and his best friend growing up. They played Little League together. Oscar Taveras, the number 18 on the back of the mound. Fans ages 16 and older receive an exclusive Yadier Molina Garden Gnome. There it is. Yadi showing it off. 200 lucky fans receive a gnome with either a gold or platinum glove to commemorate Molina's many awards. Tickets at cardinals.com/promotions. The ever popular Garden Gnome. I never knew what a garden gnome was until we started doing those as giveaways.
Yeah, well, now we know.
There's the tomatoes and maybe
well, you and your green thumb anyway.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Cucumbers, little zucchini, and oh, there's Yadi. There he is in your garden. It was a very good at bat first time up by Matt Carpenter. Worked the count full and then stroked a base hit into right. Thirteenth regular season start by Liriano against the Cardinals. And he's 5-2. ERA is close to 2. And in those 12 games prior to tonight, the Pirates are 8-4. Ray Searage, this is another one, maybe the poster child of guys that have come to the Pirates that he has turned around. Remember, he was lost for a while. He was great in Minnesota, then he got hurt. And Tommy John was a comeback player of the year twice. And he comes to Pittsburgh and has resurrected his career. And a strikeout of Carpenter. Already 5 tonight. So these are the active pitchers with some of the best ERAs against the Cardinals. Liriano at the top of that list. The Cardinals come in hitting under 200 against him. Hamels, Kershaw, Norris, and Greinke. Much of the damage done by Bud Norris while he was with Houston, but 3 lefties at the top of that list. Piscotty struck out looking as Liriano struck out the side back in the first inning.
See, that's the illusion of the strike right there. That biting slider in off the plate looks inviting. And if you put good wood on it, you're going to pull it foul. That's what Steven did. This guy, a very cagey, smart pitcher. Knows his stuff as well as any pitcher does.
The 1-1. Liriano steps and throws a little sinker, and it gets away from John Jaso. Very lackadaisical with that.
That's the one thing Liriano rarely does, and that's become lackadaisical and nonchalant. You don't see him do that. He doesn't do it when he's pitching, and the Cardinals will try to capitalize on it. This is an out right here. O-U-T that's turned into an E-R-R-O-R.
Very flat-footed.
Yeah.
Now, how do major league pitchers, Tim, and it's become almost like an epidemic in the game. They field a ground ball, they field a bunt, and they can't throw it to first, but they can put it on a dime on the way to the plate.
Yeah.
This is well hit. Out to deep right. Backing up Polanco with room. Makes the catch on the track, and Piscotty back to the bag at first.
You say it's epidemic, and it's epidemic enough that the Philadelphia Phillies had 16-time Gold Glover Jim Cott in spring training this year.
Is that right?
To help their pitchers just make plays to first base. Kitty said, I talked to him about it at length, and he said, you know, he's not sure that some of it didn't fall on deaf ears because there's a generation gap or two between Jim and the young pitchers of the Phillies. But he thinks he made some headway, and it was just making the routine. That's a balk right there. Liriano just balked and got away with it. But anyway, Jim Cott said he made strides in the routine play, but not sure he penetrated enough for him.
What did you see here with Liriano?
Oh gosh, I mean, you got to commit toward home plate. You can't fool the hitter. This is a balk. Remember that line they drew in spring training? You think that thing would have gone across that line? No chance.
Here's an 0-1 pitch to Moss. And a ground ball. Look how deep Harrison is. In shallow right. Hits into the shift. And the Cardinals strand their fourth runner of the night. We played 3 here at Busch Stadium. Pirates on top. You can now stream games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store, download the free Fox Sports Go app, log in, Stream the Cardinals wherever you go. The White Rat is in the house tonight. Whitey Herzog. And we'll have our evening with Whitey coming up a week from Monday. It's an off day for the club. A chance to pick up an autographed baseball, hear from the Hall of Famer.
Hear about everything that the Cardinals are doing right and wrong in their pitching and their defense and their base running.
Can't wait.
He's just, oh yeah, man, that's fun. He's fun. And together you're both fun.
Well, the way I look at it, Tim, I could have maybe 2 or 3 questions and we'll fill the 90 minutes. It'll be the easiest night I've ever had.
Oh yeah, it will be.
He's
cake.
Great.
Piece of cake.
He was with the Mets for a long time and working in their farm system. And
one of his best friends was Roger Maris.
That's right. Whitey signed the baseballs the other day for the folks that are coming to that night, which again is a week from this Monday. Cardinals.com/Whitey. If you'd like to get your tickets. When are we going to get you on one of those speaker series? I'm going to try to line up.
You've
you
never
and
asked.
Well,
you've never been specific. You've talked about it, but I don't know.
I figured you'd turn me
I'm
down.
not too sure you're serious about it.
Well, you did tell me I want to work with a pro that night, and I got the hint. I want to get you and Gibby. Let's do it.
I can handle that.
That would be fun.
I put up with Bob for what?
You know he's watching.
60
you better be
years.
careful.
Of course he is. Put up with him for 60 years. Put up with him for another night or two.
We had a couple of nights already with Bob a few years ago. Those sold out immediately, and I think it's great that the fans get the chance to see these legends in a different light. And most are so intimidated by Bob, but you get him in that setting. He's so talkative. He's laughing.
He's a
little
little puppy dog.
He is.
He doesn't want anybody to know it. That's the thing.
I guess we just told everybody, didn't we? Yeah. I can imagine your phone and my phone out. Dan, Bob Gibson. I heard what you and Tim were talking about.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Here's Starling Marte, and a pitch taken low after the walk to Polanco. A single, a stolen base, and a run scored for Marte, the only run tonight. Broken bat, slowly hit into center, and it drops in. So Marte is aboard for the second time. You talked about no discussions among players before games. Well, how about in the game? These two having a little fun.
You could throw like Yachty, you can't smile like that. But it seems like anytime you walk a guy to lead off an inning, broken bats occur more often than not and seem to find holes.
Brings in Cervelli. He walked back in the second inning. That pitch at 95, up and in. Missouri Lottery Fox tracks, and a pitch that gets away from Martinez as Cervelli was showing bunt.
Yeah, he's a good bunter. Does a lot of things well, even though he's a fifth hole hitter. You wouldn't normally find a bunt in this situation. And you've got a guy in only his second at bat of the season due up who's on deck. Might take that bunt off right here.
2-0. First thing that Cervelli did when he arrived in Pittsburgh is take every member of the pitching staff out to dinner. He said, I want to get to know my new teammates. Russell Martin signed as a free agent with Toronto, got a big contract, and Cervelli came in from the New York Yankees. And Francisco is a free agent to be. The 2-0 pitch. Right now, Martinez can't find the strike zone.
Carlos goes through these periodically, these what's wrong moments. You know, you look at him, you say, what happened?
Taken high, and the bases are loaded. 2 walks and a broken bat single into center. It's back, Cardinal fans. The refreshing taste of the frozen strawberry lemonade. It's available all summer long, and it's only at McDonald's.
It can leave you scratching your head if you're Derek Lilliquist, the pitching coach of the Cardinals. Yadi Molina has been such a calming influence on the Cardinal pitchers, but primarily Carlos Martinez more than anyone.
Gunn came up first time. Runners at first and second, bounced into a 5-4-3 double play. Second year for the South Korean third baseman. First position player to jump from the Korean baseball organization into the major leagues here in the United States. Does own a grand slam in his career.
And this guy can play. This is no gratis treatment right here. He can play.
That's a big out. Popped up on the infield fly, and the catch made by Jerko. Take a look at that pitch thanks to Chevy Fox Tracks.
4 straight balls to Cervelli, and now the first pitch. Gung swinging and pops it to the right side of the infield. A big out. You're right, Dan. Now you can play the infield in double play depth. Hope you get a ground ball at somebody, because Harrison can flat out run. So unless a ball is just scalded to an infielder, they may elect to come home and get the force out at home plate.
Harrison has grounded into 2 double plays this year. And Tim, I'll let you take this visit on the mound.
Well, I mean, Yachty was just out there 2 pitches ago. Of course, Derek Lilliquist can't go out there again because you got to take him out then. But all of a sudden, this innings, something has gone awry in the body language of Carlos Martinez, and it's certainly shown itself in his pitching.
I wonder if this is medical. I think Molina picked up something here.
Yeah, you just.
Yep, and that's what it is.
Don't know.
He clearly saw something, and you could just tell in the conversation. And now Molina will interpret for the medical team, even though that Martinez has broken English. And it was last year his shoulder that hurt him.
Yeah, he was shut down toward the end of the year last year as a result of that. What did he miss? It like 4 starts, 5 starts?
And did not pitch in the postseason.
Yeah, right.
That's going to be it. You're just hoping it is not the shoulder, it's something with the arm.
Well, I mean, that's what we said. We started out by saying it's one of those what's wrong moments. And it appears with the glove right there, sometimes they'll grab that side and the appendages to the ribs, and it does look like an oblique. Bad news for the Cardinals in the short term.
coming out of that pen. And he's going to have all the time in the world to get loose. So because of that, we'll step aside. Lions are Chevy called to the pen. 1-0 Pirates. One to nothing Pittsburgh. Thank you, Scott. Top of the fourth. The count is 1 ball, no strikes. Bases loaded, 1 out. Lions into the game. First pitch, Harrison pops it foul.
You know, maybe in the second inning when Carlos Martinez swung so hard on that first pitch from Liriano and then walking away from the plate and kind of holding the side, you don't, maybe something was tweaked. Most overused word in baseball is tweaked.
What's second?
Tweaked again.
Bases loaded, a walk, a single, a walk by Martinez. Got the pop out from Gung. And now a 2-1 pitch. Good curveball.
Well, that took some courage right there.
Sure did.
2 ball and 1 strike count with the bases loaded and Tyler Lyons. Yadier Molina calling for that curveball.
This is where Lyons at times in his career has been really effective. He comes in, maybe somebody gets hurt, somebody's not effective.
Where he doesn't have to think.
He just
doesn't have to think about there are a lot of pitchers like that. Didn't know I was going to be in the game. Prepared to get myself ready, and boom, he has a good outing.
And Tim, right now with the current roster, not knowing about the immediate future of Martinez, this becomes a big outing for Lyons in terms of maybe a Matt Bowman who is stretched out could start. Lyons certainly could be one of those guys that could start. Now we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Sure.
You don't know what's going to happen in 5 days, but with the current roster, those are the 2 options that you would have in terms of potential starters if you don't dip down to the minor leagues.
Yeah, well, that spells big trouble if Carlos Martinez is out for any length of time.
Sure does. But those obliques, those have been
horrible.
Yeah. There's a look at Jim Edmonds making the rounds. He was just in our booth and now visiting with John Mozeliak. The 2-2. Got him with a strikeout.
Looks like a changeup from Lyons on a 2-2 pitch. Perfect position. Good call, good pitch.
Lyons in his career as a reliever, ERA About 2.5. As a starter, it's over 5. Here's Jordy Mercer. Bases loaded, 2 outs. And strike 1 with the breaking ball. He's got really good stuff, Tim, and we've seen that, especially with the breaking ball. It's just a matter of putting it all together. There's glimpses of that. And here comes the 0-1 pitch. Now maybe a little bit of the thought process here with going with Lions in this situation is what Tyler did against the Pirates to wrap up the division a year ago. He had 7 innings in a must-win game and shut down Pittsburgh. Maybe. The 1-1 pitch. Off-speed pitch. Strike 2. Wouldn't this be a pick-me-up if he gets out of this jam?
Brother.
1 strike away from doing it. Mercer lined out to right. This crowd now comes alive. The 1-2. Check swing, struck him out. Tyler Lyons, back-to-back Ks. Harrison the strikeout. Check swing by Mercer and the strikeout. The biggest binoculars that you will see brought into a ballpark. So from that, we go down to Jim Hayes. Jimmy.
Dan, as we wait on word from the Cardinals in regard to Carlos Martinez, an update on Brian Pena as he continues to make progress and tries to come back from left knee surgery. Brian told me he hit off the tee for the first time today, 120 swings, did some throwing, and ran for 20 minutes on the treadmill at 75% body weight. Brian says he plans to do a shortened version of the same routine tomorrow. He says no pain in the knee. He's very encouraged. Still no timetable for Pena's return, but he's happy about the progress. But then again, Dan, Brian Pena's always happy, right? That's an upbeat guy, always smiling.
He really is. And Jimmy, while we have you, how about an update on Tommy Pham?
Tommy Pham is rehabbing right now with a minor league assignment, Dan, as you know. And the Cardinals are going to wait for him to check out 100%, and then they have a decision to make.
Well, that time, Liriano a little crow hop on that comebacker. Remember the previous one in the 3rd inning. He threw it wide of Jaso for an error. Here's Randal Grichuk. Grichuk bounced into a double play, first time up. Carlos Martinez tonight, 52 pitches. 29 were strikes as he goes 3 1/3 and gives up the only run tonight. As Grichuk picks up a base hit into left center, beats the shift. right between Mercer and Harrison for the single.
Now, the one thing about Grichuk is if he's going to go down, if he's going to take an offer, you want him to swing the bat, swing hard, even if he swings through it. And that right there, that swing gives you an idea of how the ball jumps off his bat when he makes solid contact. It's all the Cardinals are looking for. That's all John Mabry's looking for. John, the hitting instructor, of course, they're looking for solid contact. And the ball will jump off your bat. And it doesn't do like that with many hitters, many Cardinal hitters. They have to create something to get it to jump off their bat. Grichuk has that natural contact. Ball just explodes, whether it's in the air or on the ground.
So strong, too.
Oh, my gosh. Pound for pound, as strong as anybody.
There's Jed Jerko and a 1-0. Saw Ledmus Diaz against the shift. Very similar to what we see here for Jerko. A lot of room to the right side. And Diaz singled to right. 1 ball, 1 strike on the Cardinals' second baseman.
Sometimes a guy like Harrison will play that close to second because, number one, he's cheating for the double play. Number two, he's cheating for the slider off Laureano to get the ground ball to the left side.
Grichuk with 2 steals this year. Cubs win again. They beat Washington 8-6 earlier today. John Lackey is now 4-1. The Cubs 22-6. Best record through the first 28 games of the season since the 03 Yankees. They outscored the Pirates at PNC earlier this week 20-5.
Clubbed them.
Yep. Pretty good.
I think use this situation, got the bottom of the order. I think he hit and run here. Hope he makes contact, ball on the ground. 1-run ball game. Grichuk, on the other hand, has got to make sure he pitches. Don't get picked off.
The 2-1, now 2-2. Cardinals have been a team that's pretty station to station too, and it's a way to get things going.
There's animation when you do that. When you get guys running, a lot of things happen. When you're a hitter, all you're trying to do is make contact. And when all you're trying to do is make contact, sometimes you make your best contact.
The 2-2 pitch to Jed Jerko. And he strikes out. Number 6 tonight for Liriano. With 2 outs, it brings in a Ledmus Diaz. Chevy Fox tracks.
That's a 4-seam fastball from Liriano, meant to be high. Goes up the ladder with Jerko. You don't see that pitch from him that often.
Diaz a base hit to right. That's pulled sharply to third. Gung stays with it. Fires to first. The stretch by Jaso. Had him played on the line.
And again for that slider. Down and in. That's where he hit it.
Run presented by Anthem on Sunday, September 18th. Start at the Stan the Man statue, run through downtown St. Louis, and finish on the field right here at Busch Stadium. For more information and to sign up, head to cardinals.com/6K. Cardinals Care doing great work in the community. Just handed out $140,000 of grants, all to different organizations that help kids.
After the run, you can go to Ballpark Village and maybe catch the Giants and the Cardinals on the 18th. Playing at AT Park in San Francisco.
Will you be with me?
Yes, I will, partner.
Let's get Cepeda in the booth again.
I'd love to do that.
Can you work on that?
He's only a phone call away.
That'd be great.
I'd love that myself.
That was
really fun.
That was
last year. Got a lot of calls about having Orlando Cepeda, the MVP of the '67 Cardinals, in the booth with Dan and me and San Francisco for a couple of innings.
And you think about it, we just don't hear from him enough, and he played such a big part of Cardinals history.
Hall of Famer. Statue outside AT Park in San Francisco. That year he had in 1967. I was going to say 27. I was thinking of the Yankees.
He'd have fit in that lineup too. That'd be a tough lineup.
Oh
to
yeah,
crack.
he would have fit in any lineup. What a player!
Well,
what a base runner! And you know, you think of Orlando Cepeda as a very smart guy. Loves his music. If you phone his home, you will listen to 2.5 minutes of Latin music before Orlando comes to the phone. I will guarantee. Oh yeah, oh yeah, huge music fan.
12 of 15 pitches for Lyons since he's come in this game have been strikes. Now you may be just joining us. Carlos Martinez had to leave because of an apparent injury. 3 1/3. Lyons came in with the bases loaded, 1 out, got 2 strikeouts, and that's a sharp breaking ball right there. Again, you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself, but when you think about options for the Cardinals and to take the spot potentially of Martinez, this is one of them right now on the mound. It's Tyler Lyons.
Sure.
And the 1-2 pitch, ground ball into the shift. There's Jerko. 2 outs. Jaso is hitless tonight in 3 plate appearances. Brings in McCutchen. Twice he is grounded out. Once to short, the other time to third. So many fans got back to us and said, man, that was incredible to hear from Orlando Cepeda.
Yeah, and I don't think Cardinal fans realized what a part he played for 2.5 years here in St. Louis. And then ultimately traded for a guy who's going into the Hall of Fame this year, Joe Torre, in the spring of 1969, the MVP in '71. So with 2 guys, you have an MVP in 1967 in Cepeda, and in 1971 in Joe Torre, who had .363 and couldn't run a lick, had no infield hits for the most part.
On a hop to third, taken there by Carpenter. Good work by Lyons. 5 up, 5 down. He's mixed in 3 strikeouts. Settled things down. We're midway through 5. 1-0 Pirates. Baseball, the new 3-game Mama Packs. They're available now through Sunday, Mother's Day. Choose from 3 great packs featuring matchups with the Cubs, Royals, and more, starting at just $84. For more details and to purchase those tickets, visit cardinals.com/mama. Here's Tyler Lyons, and the first pitch is strike here in the bottom of inning number 5. It'll be Lyons, Carpenter, and Piscotty. You watch Liriano throw, Tim. He just explodes to the plate. Kind of slow, and then boom, it's on you.
Ball's on top of you in a hurry.
And a strikeout of Lyons. That's number 7 tonight.
He had 10 strikeouts back in early April when he faced the Cardinals. That's 17 for the year and 44 in 3.5 games by the Cardinal lineup against Pittsburgh pitching. A lot of Ks.
Obviously enjoys pitching against the Cardinals. Those numbers bear it out.
Cardinals for their career against Liriano batting 188.
That's a big sample size too.
Yeah.
That's a foul ball. Heads up play there by Cervelli to try to grab it in fair territory.
Well, that was very close. Don't know if Cervelli was too quick on that ball. If you let it settle, it may have settled in fair territory. But you know, I agree with you. I mean, you kind of tip your hat to Francisco trying to make that ball appear to be fair.
Here's an 0-1 pitch. Carpenter, one of the 3 hits tonight for the Cardinals. All your years of baseball, at what point in the calendar do you say, okay, by this date, you pretty much know what you have with the current roster as it's constructed? Or do you have one in mind?
You're talking about the Cardinals right now?
Just in general with the team.
I don't know.
2 months in?
I don't know. Every day in. I mean, the games in April are as important as the games in late July. The games in late July are as important as the games in mid-August.
1-2 pitch.
All I can say is the approach that you take is you come to the ballpark every day ready to play. And I know that sounds dull.
Easier said than done, though.
And it's you're paid that way. As Pete Rose used to say, for every major league player, if they show up ready to play and say, he said, I'll guarantee you there wouldn't be any injuries.
High fly ball lifted out to center. McCutchen backing up.
In other words, if you're a player, you're an everyday player, you're a pitcher, whatever, I can pitch today, I can play today, and you get paid if you say that. There wouldn't be any injuries. Now, Pete overstated it, but you get the drift.
Yeah. You talk to Pete much anymore, your former teammate?
No, I don't. No, never have an opportunity to.
Yeah.
Occasionally at a card show or something like that, but rarely.
Here's Piscotty, reached on an air back in the 3rd. And Piscotty lifts a fly ball to Andrew McCutchen. We played 5 on this Friday night here at Busch Stadium. Pirates on top, 1-0. 1-0 Pirates. Full day of baseball tomorrow on Fox Sports Midwest and FS1. Here on Midwest, the Cardinals continue their series with the Pirates. Coverage starts at 12:30. FS1, Rangers and Tigers, and Nationals and Cubs. Baseball tomorrow on Fox Sports Midwest, or watch the games live on Fox Sports Go. Tyler Lyons in relief of Carlos Martinez. He's faced 5 hitters and struck out 3. It'll be Polanco, Marte, and Cervelli. First pitch is a fair ball inside the first base line, taken off the sidewall, and they'll hold him to a single. Piscotty shows off the arm. Nice play.
That's a very difficult carom too that ball took into fair territory, and Piscotty right on top of it. Remember an old major league outfielder named Ron Fairley. He used to say an outfielder stops the runner by throwing the ball. It doesn't have to be a good throw, but get to it and throw it. That's what stops the runner. And in that case, that was true of Polanco.
Ron Fairley, longtime broadcaster with the Mariners.
Yes, good player, good ball player.
Here's Marte. Pitch in the dirt. Keep an eye on Polanco. He's got good speed. Only 2 steals this year. Starling Marte 2 for 2 with a pair of singles.
One thing that hampers a guy like Polanco is his height. 6'5". It's tough to get a good jump, get it started at first base, to steal a base.
He's leaning towards second. You bring up a great point. I didn't realize, and I was down in the clubhouse today and then on the field, I didn't realize how big he is, how tall he is. He's a big man.
6'5½".
Yep. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Good changeup. Cardinals have turned 1 double play that was back in the 2nd inning. Another check on Polanco. One thing the Pirates have talked about is winning the division, and they put more of an emphasis on that than at any point in time in the last couple of years. You say, well, of course they're going for the division. The Pirates have played in the play-in game 2 years in a row,
right,
at home,
right,
and lost both.
Won 98 games last year. The Cardinals and Pirates won 198 games between them.
2 years ago, it was Bumgarner. He went on an incredible roll on the way to the World Series.
After the Giants had won only 89 that year.
And then last year they run into Jake Arrieta. It's 1 and done. There it is, what Tim was talking about. 198 wins combined with those 2 teams last season. Right now it looks like the Cubs could run away with the Central. Clearly it is early, but boy, are they playing good baseball. Two pitch. As we speak, Chicago already with a 7-game lead over Pittsburgh. Cardinals are 7.5 back.
We realize it's early May 6th to be exact. But it's who the Cubs are now, even with the horrible injury out for the season, Kyle Schwarber.
He is running on the 2-2, swing and a miss, and a throw to second, not in time. fourth strikeout already for Lyons.
Sometimes a hitter will inadvertently get in the way of a catcher's throwing, but Polanco had such a good jump. I think that has to be taken into consideration when you consider interference. Polanco had that stolen easily.
Also, you could see Molina didn't quite get it out of the glove cleanly.
Right.
So here's Cervelli with a pair of walks.
You know who is a huge piece of the Chicago Cub puzzle? Ben Zobrist.
He's starting to come alive. 4 home runs in the last 2 games.
I'm telling you, this guy can flat out play.
And play anywhere.
And play anywhere. And you can't pitch to him because he's a switch hitter. 36 years old, as spry as a 30-year-old. Makes a huge difference on that ball club. And I'll guarantee you Joe Madden fought for that guy. You can just hear those conversations with Madden coercing management to get him.
Inside, those two were together for years in Tampa Bay. When he came through, Zobrist with Tampa Bay at the time in interleague play, he talked about wanting to potentially play with the St. Louis Cardinals. A lot of family and friends are Cardinal fans, and
I remember that. Yeah.
Obviously his relationship though with Joe Madden
sure
played a big part in him signing with the Cubs. Now the Royals are off to a slow start, the defending champions, and some point to the loss of a guy like Zobrist as being one of the factors.
No question about it. You cling to somebody like that as long as you can keep him.
Here's a 2-1 pitch. Taken just a bit high. Good changeup again on a 3-1 count.
Tyler Lyons with a lot of swings and misses tonight on that changeup. On the curveball also.
The 3-2. Hit out of play. Zobrist, by the way, 9 seasons with Tampa Bay. Then with Oakland, traded over midway through last year with Kansas City. And the general manager of the Kansas City Royals drove from KC to St. Louis to deliver in person his World Series ring when the Cubs were in town.
I remember that. Yeah. Very nice.
The 3-2 again. And he struck him out. 5 strikeouts.
Cervelli gave up on that curveball. Thought it was outside. It was not outside. Nor did it appear high. A look. Gave up on it. A late break.
You caught so many years in the big leagues. How careful do you have to be as a catcher when you're at the plate as a hitter about arguing balls and strikes and getting into that war of words with an umpire?
Yeah, you know when to back off.
Gung, a high fly ball into right. Piscotty is back and it's gone. Opposite field home run. He's back in the big leagues. And his first game back, a 2-run homer to make it 3-0 Pittsburgh. Gung had a couple of home runs last year against the Cardinals.
He is so powerful on that ball the other way. Gung swinging at the first pitch every time up. You rarely see that when a guy comes off the disabled list. For as long as he was on it, but letting nothing pass, and shows you how strong he can be with that home run the other way on a high fastball.
All 3 runs have been scored with 2 outs against the Cardinals tonight.
He hit that ball with the power to right field that David Freese has.
Yeah. Freese adept at going the other way.
Yeah, right. But Scotty runs out of room.
During his rehab assignment, only hit 150 in 13 games did Gung. Pirates did have to make a move today to clear a roster spot. Jason Rogers was sent down. Big 2-run homer. One ball and 2 strikes on Josh Harrison. Young is now 2 for 6 against Tyler Lyons. Those 2 hits have been home runs. There's another strikeout. Strikes out the side. That's 6 for Lyons. Jung Ho Gung back in the big leagues. This is the play that cut his season short. Chris Coughlin sliding into him. A horrific left knee injury. 7.5 months of rehab. He's back tonight and making an impact. 2-run opposite field home run. 3-0 Buccos midway through 6. Pirates in the bottom of the 6th. It'll be 3, 4, and 5 for the Cardinals against Liriano. Changeup swung through by Holiday. He's 0 for 2. Struck out looking in the first and fly to right. Word we get on Carlos Martinez. He left the ball game due to fatigue.
Well, that's a good sign.
It's not an oblique.
It's unusual, but it's a good sign.
Well, we mentioned how he was dealing with the flu-like symptoms last
Maybe
time
dehydrated a little.
Yeah,
perhaps.
0-2 pitch in the dirt. Well, Francisco Cervelli wanted this in the dirt. Well, he got it.
Good call, partner. This is in the dirt. 56-mile-an-hour changeup.
1-2 pitch upstairs to Holiday. Walk-off base hit 2 nights ago for the Cardinal left fielder. And he strikes out for the second time tonight. Liriano is up to 8. Saturday, May 21st, 30,000 fans ages 16 and older will be a big hit in their new adult Cardinals pullover. Quarter zip short sleeve pullover features a bird on the bat logo. And you can get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions. Here's Brandon Moss. Moss 0 for 2 tonight. Only 3 hits for the Cardinals. I beg your pardon, 4 hits. And they're not scoring, Tim. Give or take 1 hit.
This guy can just chew you up, though.
Yep.
This Liriano, when he's right. And I've rarely seen him when he wasn't right. He had a no-hitter for the Minnesota Twins against the White Sox in early May of 2011, I believe.
On the outside corner. That's now 9.
I mean, those pitches, that sequence of pitches were almost unfair to Brandon Moss. Fastball inside, fastball away, and then the slider freezes Moss. And nobody likes frozen Moss.
Is it a delicacy in certain parts of the world?
I don't know. Don't question.
Here's Molina and a strike. So 9 strikeouts tonight for Liriano.
Be nice in the same batting order to have Moss and then Tundra or something like that.
What's the matter with you?
A lot.
5 of the 9 have been caught looking as Molina hits a fly ball into right field. Liriano is sharp tonight. An 11 pitch inning. We head to the 7th. Pirates on top 3-0. Tyler Lyons has come in relief of Carlos Martinez. Gave up a 2-run homer, but outside of that, he struck out 6. Pitched quite well.
And very well. Gung with a home run the other way. That high fastball, boy, he's got power the other way. Look at that guy without his shirt on. I mean, he is powerfully built.
Here's Jordy Mercer. First pitch hit off the end of the bat coming in. 1 pitch, 1 out to Grichuk.
I like the style with which Tyler Lyons works. He works very quickly, gets a sign, throws the ball. You look quick, and what you appear to the opposition is that you're more confident than guys who work slowly. You go out there and you work slowly, and you give the opposition a chance to weigh your feeling and what's going on in your head. And if you're waiting to throw the ball, if you're not as fast, why are you waiting to throw the ball? Because you're afraid that something might happen. That's how hitters react. Not pitchers that are hitters, but lineup guys.
We were talking before the game. Interesting that when pitchers get a base hit, we don't have the numbers, but we would assume it's high in terms of the percentage when they pick up a base hit. It's against a fastball.
That's right. Most of the time, 60.3% of the time.
So we did have the numbers.
Yes, we did. 60.3%.
You were hiding them from
the
me.
great Danny got them.
Danny Martinez.
Attaboy, Danny. 60.3% on a fastball. Sliders, curveballs, 11%. But I remember Ray Ripplemeyer, pitching coach for the Phillies, used to say, by the way, Rip lives over in Valmara, Illinois. Used to be a hog farmer, and a good one too, and is retired now and watches every Cardinal game. And I know he's listening now, but Rip said, pitchers never see breaking balls. So, if you've got a breaking ball you can get over for a strike, throw it to them.
Sure.
And it makes all the sense in the world.
Jaso on a 2-0 pitch, a base hit into right field. 1 for 4 tonight. Plaza Tire Fox Tracks this 2-0 pitch, said hit me. Beat the shift. You a fan of that look right there, Tim?
Not particularly.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Nope.
So his night is through. And Sean Rodriguez many times comes in late in games for the Pirates defensively. Will be the pinch runner. This guy's a good player. Rodriguez, his dad is a coach, by the way, a manager in the minor leagues for the Cardinals.
Good player and will stand for defense at first base, but a valuable man for Clint Hurdle and the Pirates.
So 2 outs. Here's McCutchen, who is hitless tonight. 3 ground ball outs. If you're Mike Matheny and the Cardinals, you start to run out of outs. And Martinez's spot, which is now occupied by Lyons, is 4 spots away in the lineup. There's a changeup ripped out to left field. So back-to-back singles with 2 outs. Brings in Gregory Polanco, who's been on base twice.
Looks like Seth Maness is warming up for the Cardinals. I think that's Maness. And this will, in all probability, one way or the other, be the last man for Tyler Lyons.
Worked out of the rotation in spring training, but then you start the regular season. You're not going deep into games. You just wonder what's left in the tank right now.
Yeah. 7 strikeouts.
A 1 pitch to Polanco. Good pitch. 1-2.
3 curves in a row to Polanco, who singled on a fastball inside his last time up. think you get another curve here. Back him up. Nope.
A couple years ago, Lions in relief, 4 2/3, and in that game he struck out 8. He's trying to do that here with 1 strike away from strikeout number 8. The 2-2 to Gregory Polanco. Got him out in front, popped up, and there is Jerko. Cardinals with just 4 hits tonight. It's time to stretch, see if they can't get something going against Liriano. Well, Tim McCarver, what has made Liriano so effective here tonight?
About what we were talking about before the game. You know, he's thrown enough strikes to keep the Cardinals honest. 8 strikeouts for Francisco tonight. Shutout through 6. He has been as tough as he's always been. And as we said earlier, I don't know when he wasn't tough, when he was healthy.
Yep. We also talked about early in counts, making him work to throw strikes. He's had 16 of 23 first pitch strikes.
He kind of goes against you when he thinks you're thinking the other way. He's smart, knows what he's doing.
Grichuk has 1 of 4 base hits tonight for the Cardinals. Beat the shift. They've got the shift on right now. This is our Gateway Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
If you're going to swing, make sure the pitch is inside and above the knees. See, that's the thing about Grichuk. You know, you've got to zero in hitting counts, swing at balls that are in your count. Otherwise, take the walk. You're down by 3, 2-0. Now it's 2-2. 4 straight balls. 2-0. Swings at a pitch and down around the ankles. Same pitch the second. You know, it's that you've got to discipline yourself if you're going to be a good major league hitter. That's all there is to it.
The 2-2 inside with the fastball. Liriano has walked 1 tonight. There was Jerko back in the second. 3-2 pitch. Good cut. And it's a leadoff walk. Crowd tonight of 43,093. 43093. And they start to stretch out in the Pittsburgh bullpen following the leadoff walk to Grichuk. Jerko has walked and struck out. Changeup. All three pitches have been working tonight. Good fastball, changeup, slider. Tough. Grichuk, your runner at first base, and an 0-1 pitch. Now 0-2. Trying to pick up strikeout number 10. And Jerko lifts a fly ball high in the air out to right. Polanco backs up a step or two, makes the catch. That's out number 1. BJC Healthcare difference maker Aledmys Diaz. It's not only the fact that he's putting the ball in play with authority, but the lack of strikeouts. Nolan Arenado, Daniel Murphy on this list. Last Cardinal, by the way, to go through an entire season and a rookie with more extra base hits than strikeouts, Red Schoendienst. Did that back in 1945.
That's a good one.
There's a diving stop by Gunn and save at second base.
Boy, that is great hustling base running by Grichuk, realizing the only way they can get him, and he was safe, it appeared to me. I don't think this will be overturned, but it's tough when you're going as badly as Grichuk has been going and really busting it into second base to beat the throw. Safe.
And the Cardinals will pull back Tyler Lyons. And from the right side of their bench tonight, they have Eric Fryer and Ruben Tejada. Left side, Hazelbaker, Wong, and Adams. So with Liriano still in this game, you're looking at right-handed batters. And Mike Matheny goes with Ruben Tejada.
And that play with Grichuk running hard into second base and really busting it down there, that brings the potential tying run up. And there's Neftali Feliz on his return to Busch Stadium last year, 5 years ago, or maybe in 2012 when Texas returned, I believe, perhaps. But he does not have kind thoughts about this ballpark.
Segrist along with Manus getting loose in the pen. Was up. And now Ruben Tejada, 1 out, 2 on. Be interesting would be the matchup of Seung-Hwan Oh against Jung-Ho Gung. Those two faced each other in Korea.
In the Korean League, right?
Yeah. And Gung did have a home run against him. He was 4 for 13. That might be the only time that Mike Matheny would know of any matchup against his right-hander in the bullpen. That gets away. Grichuk rounding third. He'll try to score. Play at the plate. Safe.
Not only does Grichuk hustle into second base, but gives the Cards a run without a hit. Plays in front of him Cervelli has to go so far, and Grichuk with his left hand touched home plate.
He would have been out, it looks like, with the right hand.
Little feint of hand, I agree with you.
Heads up play.
See,
yeah.
the right hand was there. Liriano dove for him, and he comes in with his left.
What a great slide. Runner at third, one out. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-2 the count. Have to get this run home one way or another. What a tremendous slide by Randall Grichuk.
I agree. If he comes in with his right hand, he is out. And in a 3-0 game, that would have been very, very tough to swallow.
The 1-2 pitch. Tejada, by the way, 0 for 2 as a pinch hitter thus far this year. And pinch hitting has been a huge story in this game, potentially, and certainly in this season for the Cardinals.
No question. Best in baseball.
7 home runs, 13 RBIs, and 20 hits off the bench. Tejada, high fly ball into left center. That'll stay in the ballpark, plenty deep for the run to score, and it cuts a lead at 3-2.
Boy, Dan, he just missed that pitch. That ball down and in. He got the run home, and he'll be congratulated. But Tejada, I'll guarantee you what's running through his mind right now. He's shaking hands and knowing that he could very easily have hit that ball out. The ball down and in. Good job to get the run home, but Tejada wanted more.
Carpenter, a base hit to right. He is struck out, flied out to deep center. Represents the tying run. Pitch count at 96 for Francisco Liriano. Oh, 0-2. And a strikeout of Carpenter, number 10 on the night. The Cardinals, though, pick up a couple of runs. The hustle of Randall Grichuk. And how about this slide? Sleight of hand. Where is that right hand?
Blackjack.
21. Carlos Stanton. Our Chevy call to the pen takes us to left-hander Kevin Segrist. 14th appearance for the lefty. Longest home runs at this ballpark, Brandon Moss yesterday. Speaking of long home runs, 462 feet. Albert Pujols, this is back in 2011. Think you knew it? The longest, though, belonged to the Cardinals left fielder, Matt Holliday. This is against Ryan Dempster. I think it was in Big Mac land. Yep. Against his former team back in 2012.
Kevin Segrist comes in the game and immediately throws Starling Marte a changeup. That has been a huge pitch for Kevin this year.
Marte is 2 for 3. Couple of singles, a stolen base, run scored. Segrist turns, spins, throws. Here's Francisco Cervelli. Couple of walks and a strikeout. Well, you start to think ahead now if you're Clint Hurdle. Right around 100 pitches with Liriano. Does he go to his bullpen for the 8th and the 9th? Tony Watson, a tough lefty, is getting loose in the pen.
He's as tough as Liriano in a different way.
Here's an 0-1 to Cervelli. Back to Segrist. Knocks it down, plenty of time, and makes the play. Hit a home run with the Hilton St. Louis at the ballpark and the St. Louis Union Station Hotel. Choose one of our Cardinal baseball packages. Score for your team. Head to HiltonSt.Louis.com or call 314-421-1776. Big hit in this game off a Gunn's bat. Opposite field, 2-run homer back in the 6th. What a job, by the way. Cardinals with Tyler Lyons comes in with the bases loaded, nobody out, and a count of 1-0 after Martinez was hurt. He went 3 2/3, gave up the home run to Gung later in his appearance, but strikes out 7.
That's a key thing. When you come in with the bases loaded, you think about the tension and the pressure on a guy who's facing a guy with a count 1 ball and no strikes. That's a huge advantage for the offense and for the hitter.
And when a breaking ball is his big pitch, already behind in the count.
Yeah, it's tough to throw that breaking ball 1-0 unless you have a lot of confidence in it, but he did have confidence and control in that pitch tonight. Good changeup, good curveball.
And the reason why Martinez was taken out of the game is the report is fatigue. Here's a 2-1 pitch. 2-2. Gung last year hit .327 against the Cardinals, pair of home runs, and drove in 7.
You don't get him out easily, I'll tell you that. He's proven that he still has that feistiness as a hitter. Home run his last time up. The difference in this game.
The 2-2 pitch. Looking ahead to the bottom of this inning, the Cardinals have Piscotty, Holliday, and Moss. That's well hit. Down the left field line and gone just to the left of Big Mac land. Welcome back, Jung Ho Gung, a pair of home runs.
That's what the Pirates are saying. That ball down and in. He hit the last one hard. That was his last at bat, but he hit this one. You talk about crushing a ball. Dave Kingman, they used to be Kong blasts. So there was a precedent to a Kong blast. Whew. Man.
He was in the top 4 a year ago for Rookie of the Year. Eventually went to Chris Bryant. Here's Harrison.
How about the stunned silence of the 43,000 on hand here when he hit the ball? Just, oh my gosh. Did you see that? There was a lot of people turning to their left and right asking that question.
Here's a 1-1. This home run is hit off a pitcher that does not give up many at all.
No.
Woo. Just the second he's allowed this year. Second time in his young career here in the United States that Gung has had a multi-home run game. The other was against San Francisco a year ago. So 2 outs, nobody on, and a 2-2 pitch. It's a team that came in, the Pirates, best in the National League, team average at 282. The Cardinals, by the way, the team that has hit more home runs than the Pittsburgh Pirates and third most in the National League. Barehanded by Carpenter. Nice play as Moss sells it. The home run by Gung is second of the night. By the way, the Pirates may take a look as to whether or not Moss was still on the bag. They say he was. Gung the home run. It's 4-2 Pirates. St. Louis Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light. Raise 1-2 right now by your local Volkswagen dealer. And taste the all-new Double Jack Burger today, only at Jack in the Box. Jim Hayes, Tim McCarver, Dan McLaughlin with you. And it's a 4-2 Pirates lead. Here's Steven Piscotty. Liriano out of the game after striking out 10. And it brings in Archevi, called to the pen. Tony Watson And as Tim mentioned, this guy is as tough as Liriano.
As tough as Liriano, does it in a different way. Mostly fastball, spotting it inside outside to both left and right handers. Normally you will not bring in a left-handed pitcher for a left-handed pitcher late in the game in a close game. But Watson is that good against right-handers or left-handers. So an unusual move by Clint Hurdle, but with Watson it's not that unusual.
Piscotty pops it up. He would be their version of Kevin Segrist, where Cardinals will use him against lefties or righties.
Good line.
But this guy has been really tough in his career against the Cardinals. This is his 42nd appearance against St. Louis. The Cardinals hit .197 against him, and he owns a 1.25 ERA.
Piscotty thinks he was hit. He went to first base immediately. I'm not sure if Mike Estabrook called that a ball, or is he waving him back?
Initially, I thought Mike Estabrook was asking whether or not he swung.
Yeah, he did ask that initially.
And the replay shows he was hit on the back foot.
But if he swung at the ball and then hit, it's a strike.
Right.
So if he didn't go around, he should be on first base.
And once again, to clarify it, if you swing and you're hit, that's a strike.
Right. So he didn't go around. He was hit on the right foot. So if he checked his swing, it's just simply a batter hit by a pitch. But if he went through and the first base umpire's already said he didn't go around, so he was hit by a pitch and belongs at first.
Umpires will take a look at this. This should be very quick to confirm that he was hit by the pitch. Clearly he was. And I think Clint Hurdle is going to say, look, we're fine with him being hit by the pitch. We got it. But we appealed to see if he did swing.
Yeah, but they've already appealed. Home plate umpire appealed the first play. He said no, he didn't go around. So that should put Piscotty at first base.
Yep.
They had the shot we had. The right toes were hit.
It's clear
by Watson. Very clear.
So that then will bring the tying run to the plate in Matt Holliday. See, what I fully don't understand, Tim, is this right here. Once the umpire puts on that headset, and what we are told when this first was introduced to baseball was that if you had any kind of questionable call, those that are the umpires in New York are already playing back replays. They've already seen 3, 4, 5.
Gone, but I know what you're saying. What should happen is they should go to the immediate replay that we saw, not this one. Not this one, even though that shows it too.
So,
but the one from the side, from the Cardinal dugout right here, clearly shows, watch the right toes.
Well, my point is, it doesn't matter which replay you're looking at. It's clear. He's hit by the pitch.
Right.
So why is this taking this long?
You got me, Bam.
You know, you put on the headset. Hey, guys, we see it.
They should be ready to go.
Exactly.
Let's go.
He's hit by the pitch.
It's clear.
Let's move forward.
Where's the delay? Why should it happen?
I think replay has been good for the game.
Not at this pace.
That's the problem.
At this pace.
You get the call right, but the pace at which they're calling this is not right. I mean, this is taking way too long.
You know what the call's going to be.
There it is. Hit by the pitch, as you mentioned. They had already peeled. He said he did go around. Let's go. So the call stands, and now the tying run comes to the plate. It's Holliday, who is 0 for 3. 2 strikeouts, his flied out to right. Now time is called. And part of that pace that you're talking about is that the pitcher is left standing out there. Now he can throw to stay loose, but there's a rhythm to the game.
No question. No question. A very, very good point, too.
Vicious cut there by Holiday. Strike 1. Outfield is deep, and they're straight away for Matt Holliday. Oh, 2.
This is the no doubles defense employed by the Pirates now that we were talking about when talking about David Freese back in the 4th inning.
That's about where Cruz was situated
Just
that
about.
famous night.
Yep. Which means that a ball cannot land. What is a ball cannot land between you and the fence. So if you think you're not deep enough, take a step or 2 back.
Watson, by the way, has allowed 3 home runs this year. Tied for most among their relievers with Ryan Vogelsong, who is their long man. 0-2 pitch. Holiday, a base hit into right field. Piscotty to second. And he'll stop there. Polanco, a very strong arm. So the first 2 have reached. And Brandon Moss.
With 1 out, you go to 3rd. With no outs, you're trailing by 2, not 1. So you almost have to stop at second base, as there's going to be a pinch runner. And it's Colton Wong, I believe, for Matt Holliday.
Ray Searage out to visit.
It's a dicey thing, Dan, with nobody out. I mean, you know, you certainly don't want to make the first out at 3rd base. So I think you err on the side of caution with Piscotty right there. I think.
And you take into account Polanco.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You take into account the ball was hit hard. You're trailing by 2, not 1. And I think either way, when Stevens trying to make his mind up, he did and said, nah, it's not worth it.
Yeah, more times than not, we've talked about it a lot. You love to see the aggressiveness.
That's
first
right.
to 3rd.
That's right.
But we mentioned that Watson has given up 3 home runs this year. Gave up 3 all of last season, the entire year. So here's Brandon Moss, runners at 1st and 2nd. Tough matchup here for Moss, who is over 3 tonight. Pair of strikeouts and also grounded out.
Well, guys can't bunt when they get to the big league, so you might as well allow him to swing. Why put him in the hole?
0-2. This Pirates bullpen a year ago, the best in baseball in terms of ERA, 2.64. They allowed the fewest home runs of any bullpen. Different story, though, here in 2016. Carves up Moss.
A 1-2-3 to Brandon Moss. Down on strikes for the 3rd time tonight.
Molina, base hit back in the 2nd inning. Walked in the 7th. We've talked to him a lot about the strength of the hands of a catcher, and those hands are just beat up. And Mike Matheny mentioned the other day they feel that Molina is about as strong as he's been in a couple of years with those hands, with the surgeries, and his body overall. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
I'll tell you a good play in this situation. It's a hit and run. The old Don Zimmer play. But you got to get into a favorable count. If the next pitch is a ball, it would be daring. I agree. But to me, the right play. Guy who could put the ball in play. It's probably going to be on the ground anyway.
Certainly the right guy to do it. Could serve it into right, great back control.
Yeah, and people, the reason there's daring do in this play is because there are runners on at first and second, not just first base. And you're trailing by 2. But the Cardinals are in a situation where they're going to have to take challenges this year, and more risks on the bases, more risks with the hit and run, in my opinion.
Here's a 1-1. Would have been ball 2, and then maybe we see that scenario unfold.
It would have been a great play. A great situation for that play.
1-2 the count with 2 on and 1 out. And the other factor of that too, you start the runners and then potentially you're out of a double play.
And you move infielders around.
Molina hits it to third and can't beat it out. That could be a big play. That's an inning-ending double play right there.
Yeah, you're right, with Molina running, and a long throw from Kang. Picks it up, barehands it, strong arm to get Molina. But you're right, with Molina running, it is a double play ball.
Well, Rando Grichuk made something happen with his legs in what has been a frustrating year for him. This could be big if he can come through. Popped up and out of play. Scored on a wild pitch after he walked in the 7th inning. First run of the night, then Tejada on a sac fly drove in Aledmys Diaz. With the speed of Wong, as deep as the outfield is, base hit could tie this game. The 0-1 pitch. Now 0-2. The next to Grichuk. Ooh. Nice play by Cervelli. This bullpen was terrific in that opening series against the Cardinals. 12 innings, only 7 hits, and they gave up a run. That was it, those 3 games.
That was a good swing. Or if you could bottle that swing and you're Rando Grichuk. That's a type of strike you want to swing at.
The 1-2 pitch to the Cardinals center fielder. Grichuk hits it on the ground to short. Mercer up with it and gets him. The Cardinals strand 2. They have left 7 on. We head to the 9th. Pirates on top. He called to the pen. Seth Maness is into the ball game, and the Cardinals were trying to avoid some of those high leverage situations for a little bit to get Maness right and get that sinker back to where it has been the last 2 to 3 years.
Well, you know, after watching the travails of Maness this year, to see why the ball is staying up. Now, that pitch right there, he did not lead with his elbow. But when a sinker baller is up in the strike zone, it means he leads with his elbow and pushes the ball high. Cardinal fans used to seeing Seth Maness throwing that type of pitch where his elbow is not involved. And that way you keep the ball down. One thing, if you see the elbow coming through first, it's bad for Maness. It's not bad for Trevor Rosenthal, for instance. Sometimes his changeup, he'll do that, lead with the elbow. That's a totally different pitch.
There's Jordy Mercer. Matt Joyce is on deck. And a fly ball lifted into right. And the catch is made. Matt Carpenter is at first base. Brandon Moss takes over at left. Wong stays in the game at second base. And Jed Jerko shifts over to third. There you go. Joyce has gone 4 for 5 with 3 walks in his last 8 pinch hitting appearances. 5 for 14, 3 home runs in that spot this year. The 8 RBIs he has, the most in baseball by a pinch hitter. Sends a fly ball into left. There's Moss. And quickly there's 2 outs. Get to the back end of games and Pittsburgh has a lead. You start thinking of Mark Melancon, who was one of the top closers in the game.
Yeah, he'll be in the game in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Cardinals will have Jerko, Diaz, then Maness' spot.
Good breaking ball from Maness.
There it is again.
Another one. Two wrinkles from a guy who rarely throws that pitch. 2 good breaking balls from Seth Maness.
So 2 outs, nobody on, and the 0-2 is held on to by Molina, and Rodriguez strikes out. We head to the bottom of the 9th. Late inning heroics again. We're about to find out. Melancon coming on when we come back. The Blues and the Dallas Stars. And game number 5 is tomorrow afternoon. Following Cardinals baseball, we will have coverage of game 5. The Blues and the Stars and our post-game show coming up after Cardinals baseball tomorrow. Mark Melancon is into the ball game for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And a year ago, he had 51 saves, which led baseball. And against the Cardinals, he's 12 of 13 in his career in save opportunities. This is our Chevy call to the pen.
Got an unusual delivery, and that's part of Mark Melancon's success. Formerly with the Yankees, came to Pittsburgh and almost rediscovered himself, Dan. I mean, this guy much more effective pitcher for the Pirates than he was with the Yankees. And that's obviously why the Yankees let him go.
Joel Hanrahan was part of the deal that he was involved with. They thought, all right, this could be the closer for that team at that time. And Brock Holt was also part of the deal, and Brock Holt turns into an all-star.
Yeah, with Boston.
It's Locke and Wainwright tomorrow, so the Cardinals facing another lefty. And here we go. Jed Jerko will lead it off, followed by Aledmys Diaz, and then a pinch hitter. Liriano, 7 innings, the starter for the Pirates. 5 hits, 2 runs, struck out 10. Watson, a scoreless 8th. And now Melancon.
Excuse me, Dan. So another game against the Pirates where the Cardinals strike out double figures. 11 strikeouts on the night after striking out 37 times in 3 games against Pittsburgh to open the season.
It's amazing. 48 in 4 games.
Yeah.
Jerko on the first pitch lines it foul. Well, you go back to last inning, and what's frustrating from the Cardinals' perspective, you get first and second, nobody out, and you do not score. Could not advance the runners, strike out a Moss.
Yeah, key strikeout in that situation. I mean, even a first and third situation perhaps would have favored plating a run. But 3 straight strikes to Brandon Moss. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. He was down on 3 pitches.
0-2 the count on Jerko. He's walked, struck out, flied out. Check swing, he did go, and that is strikeout number 12.
Jed Jerko is asking home plate umpire to check it first. Once he makes the call, there's no checking with the guy at first base.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals.
I know you've told me, or at least you've hinted at it, that it seems like, and I've heard you on games when I wasn't involved, saying that it always seems like it's 1-2 or 0-2 against Cardinal hitters at times. They have a very difficult time batting with the count in favor of them and not the pitcher.
1-0 to Diaz. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the games that they've won on this homestand, I mean, it's never easy. But
no, tough game to play, man.
But
no question.
Boy, does it feel like they've grinded through at bats just to get something going. Just 6 hits tonight. Certainly a bright spot of this season has been the play of Aledmys Diaz. He's been fun to watch. 2 hits tonight. And a 2-1 pitch.
One thing Melancon has done, he incorporated the cutter when he came to the Pirates under the tutelage of Ray Searage, their pitching coach, and a good one.
He loves that pitch.
Yes, he does.
Diaz hits it off the end of the bat into left center field. That ball is down. One hops off the wall. A lead miss. Diaz, a 3-hit night. It's another extra base hit, and once again the tying run will come to the plate, and this time in the form of Jeremy Hazelbaker, who has 2 pinch hit home runs this year.
And that's the one thing that we've talked about off camera and off mic throughout the year is the carry on Diaz's ball. You don't think it's going as far as it does.
Tim, I said it was off the end of the bat.
And then you look up and the ball's bouncing right against the fence. I didn't think that ball had a chance.
No.
As a matter of fact, I thought Marte might have a play on it.
I did too. It didn't sound right. Almost sounded like he broke his bat when he hit it. But boy, he hits the ball hard. And his out tonight was with Gung on the line. He hit a rocket to him.
Right.
So here is Hazelbaker representing the tying run for St. Louis. Little chopper. Melanson thought about going to third and out at first. Melanson, no one was at the bag at third.
Yeah, because Kung had come in to make the play. A much easier play with him going toward first base. But Melanson fielded the ball. Oh boy, that's close. I think he was out though.
Yes.
You know, that's a funny play that George Kissel used to talk about that play all the time. If you're at second base in the 9th inning and there's one out, get the pitcher involved. One hopper back to him. A lot of times you'd say make the ball go through. Get him involved in a play because you're down by 2 anyway. So your run by getting the pitcher involved may cause more havoc than it would if you allow him to look you back and go to first base.
Interesting.
Just keep that in mind somewhere down the line.
Almost worked there.
Yeah. If Kung holds his position, it would have worked. It would have been the right play.
Strike 1 on Matt Carpenter. The final hope for St. Louis. Fly to deep center field, struck out twice, and also singled to right field. The Cardinals came in first in baseball with runners in scoring position, hitting over 300. No balls, 2 strikes.
Thing that makes that cutter such a dangerous pitch to a guy like Carpenter is it's cutting in on, and if Melanson makes a mistake against a guy like Carpenter, he can take you deep because of the cutting action of that fastball. It's a pitch better thrown when it's inside from a right-hander to a left-hander, but it's also a pitch that is easier to make mistakes in there.
They want to go in the 0-2 pitch, and Carpenter hits a fly ball into right. Got in just enough.
Almost.
So Melanson gets the save, Liriano the win, and the Pirates pick up a 4-2 win here in game number 1. Tell you what, Tim, you look at the story of this game, and it's the pitching of Francisco Liriano in many ways.
Yeah, he